What's up, Internet? Nerdlocker.com here, back with this week's comic book reviews. And I'm starting off with X-Men number 5. This is chapter 3 in Battle of the Atom. Last week we had the one-shot and part 2 in All New X-Men. And what I'm enjoying about this story is that it's going through all the X titles, but it's not like you have to be reading every X title to get the next chapter. It literally is the next chapter, just in a different book. So it's not like if you weren't reading X-Men, you could still read this as long as you have been reading Battle of the Atom. This is really interesting, just where they're going with this, because I feel like right now, just the X-Men are just screwed up. We've got a team from the past, a team from the future, trying to get the team to go back to the past, and everyone's confused and everyone's scared, and there were crazy revelations in All New X-Men. You find out who Zorn is, and they go more into that now. Like, they kind of touch the surface of what's wrong with Zorn. I'm not going to tell you who it is if you haven't read it yet. But I like where this is going. Some big things happen here, and it looks like we're involving all the X teams, the Uncanny X-Men, X-Men, all new. I'm loving this. I cannot wait to see what else they do with this. I'm interested to see what the payoff is in this story. But I'm giving this issue 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey there guys, Cubby here with my comic reviews for this week. I got to read Star Wars number 9, and again, all the Star Wars issues I read lately have been awesome. I think it's awesome that the last year and a half or so, they've upped their game. I mean, I used to read every now and then a Star Wars title from Dark Horse especially, and it just didn't really catch my interest. I know the first Legacy series was really awesome, but I never really got into it. So the fact that they're continuing the stories, I've said it a million times, and it's so entertaining, really, really gets me in all the awesome spots that good comic books get me in my heart, and it's stuck there. In this issue in particular, Leia meets some interesting characters. I want to see where this goes. It ends kind of what? Not bad, not in a bad way for her especially. She has a weird choice to make, almost like an Assassin's Creed choice. Yeah, it's like that. It's crazy. It's nuts. So anyways, there's a lot of stuff going on in this issue. I don't even want to talk about it because I've probably ruined the last 3 issues, and you should have read all of them. But I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. It's a great series. I don't want it to end ever, but they're going to have to catch up sometime. I don't know. I don't get it. Just read it. You'll get what I'm saying.
Hey guys, Walking Dead 114 came out this week, and I was really excited to check it out because in the last issue, it's a lot of lead up to what's going on in issue 115, which will be a huge war in the Walking Dead universe between Negan and his group and everybody else, the survivors, the kingdom and everything. They're all coming together to fight Negan and his group. In the last few issues, Negan really caught Rick with his pants down, and we've all been a little bit scared as to who's going to die in the next few issues. The last issue, they showed Andrea possibly falling off of a cliff and dying. I'm not going to spoil that for you. In this issue, that's clarified and definitely put onto a point where you really want to check out the next issue, which of course is the beginning of the war in Walking Dead. So I'm going to give this book 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls because the lead up is really, really exciting. You're going to want to check it out.
I got to read Batman 23.2. This is the Riddler's story for Villains Month. And this was actually pretty cool because we haven't seen much of the Riddler yet in the New 52. We see him in 0 Year, but I mean, that's way early on, so it's kind of cool to see him established now, officially. And he's very just sadistic. This is not the Riddler I'm used to seeing, but it's cool seeing him with this attitude. And the whole issue, I was kind of why? Where's he in Villains Month? At the end, they explain what he's doing. The whole issue kind of leads up to show what he's doing for Forever Evil, which was really cool. A big step up from the Joker issue last week. I'm giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. You should check it out.
All right, guys, so I got to read Halo: The Initiation number 2, and I was really excited about this first issue. It kind of came out of nowhere for me, and it's like the start of all the Spartans post Master Chief, pretty much. Anyone that's in Halo 4, all that crap going on. If you guys played that game, watched Forward Unto Dawn, which I also reviewed, you'll know what I'm talking about, and it's actually really, really, really cool. That Forward Unto Dawn series is really awesome, and it explains a lot of really cool characters that they introduced into the new kind of Halo universe with 343 Industries. And this kind of picks up on that. It's a little bit after that. There's already been Spartans around. There's other people that are like Master Chief, like John And it's, what? No way. It's cool. You see, you meet a couple of them. And the new Spartans are actually like reacting to these people too, and you see like how legendary these guys are. I like that they did that. I like that they included that into this story to kind of give you an idea of how like badass these dudes are. Like, it's not just Master Chief. There's a bunch of other dudes. If you played Reach, you know there's a bunch of other dudes that are sweet. And yeah, so you get to see at least one of them in a wheelchair. So that's pretty awesome. But anyways, it focuses on Sarah Palmer. And before she even gets like any of her cool like commendations, I mean, obviously besides Spartan, but it's before any of the cool crap goes down in Halo 4, and you can totally see how awesome she is in here, and how like, oh man, I can't wait till she does that again. Oh, it's gonna be so sweet. That's where she got that badass attitude from, and I really like that. She's an awesome character. She's really, really cool. She's like super sexy and Spartan-y and big old bulky armor, but she still looks awesome and hot. So you can never hate that, right? Anyways, I'm giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. The artwork was a little weird, and it kind of took me away from it, and the story was a little slow, but it's still really exciting. It's really cool, and it's a really, really, really cool universe that they're playing with. So definitely a 4 out of 5 Nerd Skull book. Read this as well.
Hey, fellow nerds, Jasper here. Just got finished reading Mighty Avengers issue 1. Dare I say that this issue, for it being like, you know, the Mighty Avengers, frankly, it's pretty much a Heroes for Hire comic. And this goes pretty much on the same, you know, timeline, or it's pretty much in the whole Infinity Saga, but really this was a comic book of pretty much Luke Cage, Power Man, Spider-Man, and pretty much everyone else complaining about them not having anything to do as they fight pretty much mediocre characters and villains and so on. It was pretty dismal, you know, forgettable in a sense, but overall, you know, at least they have, you know, some sort of, you know, role play in this whole comic series, or at least saga. I am personally going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. See for yourself and let me know what you think.
Hey guys, this is Haley, and this week I got to read Avengers number 19, which is another story involving the Infinity storyline. And what's great about this one is that we finally get to learn a lot more about the Builders. They've been pretty mysterious, and now we're learning more about what they want and what they're planning to do, which is awesome because it's just driving the story even more, which is what I've been loving about this entire series of Avengers, New Avengers, and Infinity, just all working together to make this epic story. So definitely check this one out. The ending is incredible, and I'm really excited to find out what's going to happen in the future. So I'm going to give it 4.5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, I got to read Aquaman 23.1. This is Black Manta story for Villains Month. It shows him kind of getting out of prison when we see him in Forever Evil, and then we see him after the crime syndicate meeting in Forever Evil. And this is really cool because you see that, you know, what there was he got a closure with Aquaman being dead. You know, they tell him that the Justice League is dead, and he grabs his trident, and you see him go to his father's grave and just feel this closure, and then something big happens with something Ultraman does in Forever Evil number 1. So it's really important that you're reading that because it makes a lot of sense in this issue, and I think this sets up for what we're going to see him do in this event. I'm trying to be as vague as possible because there's a lot that happens in this, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but I highly recommend reading it. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, so I got to read Wolves of Summer, number 4. It was called Bullets. It was actually nuts, like crazy good. The first 3 issues have been really awesome, big character development issues, kind of finding out who these kids are, what they're doing. We know they're Nazis. We know they're trying to, like, it's the end of the World War II, the Second World War, I should say, and they don't know that they lost. And they're trying to kind of like hold out. And in this issue, everything comes to a head. All their preparation, all their planning, all their crazy bickering between all the little kids. It's finally like here, and they do some insane stuff. Like, obviously it's like World War II level insane. There's no like ray guns or like alien landings or anything like that. It's not that nuts, but it's still sweet. It's still awesome. Like it's intense, and it's, I don't want to say slow paced, but the way they use their panels, you get a lot of information out of it. So it's going really fast, and you're reading, you're like, oh my God, this is nuts. But you get a lot of things going on, like the way this one kid is just murdering dudes like nothing. Like he's just going through his bullets like crazy. And it's kind of cool, but at the same time it gets really sad and like it ends on a weird, no, I wouldn't say cliffhanger, but on a weird note because you're kind of upset about all these kids dying. You know there's one is still alive, and I don't know. I wouldn't say obsessed with this book, but I really, really, really like this book. I really enjoy it, and every week that we've been getting it, I've been really happy to read it. I definitely recommend it to everyone because it's just a great piece of storytelling, awesome artwork. It's almost like Harvey Pekar-ish. I kind of noticed that in this issue. It's like that kind of sense, like his facial features, the way he uses his like, it's really like dark. Like they use that. The artist in this book uses that, and I really, really, really like it. So definitely giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Read this, guys. An awesome independent book that a lot of people need to pick up.
Hey guys, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Locke & Key in all of its form, and this week comes out Locke & Key Alpha #1, which is part 1 of the two-issue ending to all of Locke & Key in comic book form. If you don't know, the last arc ended with the Locke family really on their knees. Dodge has cut them down, and they're all really weak right now. It leads off kind of like what happened to the Locke family. They were such a strong, bonded family, and now they've all just been separated, and I don't know where their strengths are anymore. In this Alpha #1, that is completely turned around. I want to say that everyone's going to check out this issue because the Locke family makes their shining moment, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next one because I almost feel like it's almost cleared up in Alpha #1. So this next issue is pretty much just going to be all good news, and you're going to want to read this #1 because #2 is just going to even get better. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls because Locke & Key is awesome. Check it out.
Hey fellow nerds, Jasper here, and I just got done reading Justice League 23.2, Lobo. Now, about a month ago, DC unveiled that Lobo was getting pretty much a ulterior, exterior change, and to my surprise, it was pretty much a skinny anime-looking character with the name Lobo, and of course, I was very skeptical on it, but finally, the unveiling of this new version of Lobo, came to fruition. This issue itself was pretty much an introductory issue, pretty much showing, Lobo's presence as the new, bounty hunter in a sense, or old bounty hunter, whatever you think that you want to claim, seeing as it's Lobo, just not Lobo. But pretty much the issue itself is just showing him, predominantly, being the main man. And at the very end of the issue, you pretty much realize what his target is, and we all know what his target is. They hinted at it, at the unveiling that Lobo is eventually going to meet Lobo. And for all you, diehard Lobo fans who are, cursing the fact that this comic is even here, don't be too, harsh on it. We still don't know necessarily where it's going to go. It looks kind of promising, but the only way for us to find out is to, continue reading it. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
This week I got to read the My Little Pony Microseries issue #8, which features Princess Celestia. I have to be honest, I was a bit disappointed in this issue. I was really hoping that we would get a backstory about Princess Celestia and how she became the princess, but no, it's just about her now. And again, I don't know why this is a running theme in the microseries, but it's about her helping an older pony out. Her name is Inkwell. I didn't really care about her. What was really weird is that there's no other recognizable characters from the story, so it made it really hard to keep my attention because I didn't know anybody in this other than Princess Celestia. So I'm only going to give this book 2.5 Nerd Skulls. I was really disappointed.
All right, I got to read The True Life of the Fabulous Killjoys, #4. We are a little more than halfway through this series, and this issue is huge. We see Red and Blue trying to escape Battery City like they set up for the last issue. And there's actually some crazy stuff going on with the new Killjoys and the girl and Dr. Death-Defy. And Course, actually. I love him because if you remember from the videos and everything, he's kind of set up as like the big bad villain. But you really see into who he is in this issue. And something really traumatic happens. And I'm interested to see what this does to him for the rest of the book, for the rest of the series, like what he ends up doing, because it's really dark. And I'm really liking the overall feel of this book still. It still feels like Mad Max meets for Blade Runner, and I can't say enough good things about this. If you're not reading this, pick it up. It's awesome. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey guys, Cubby here with my review, Justice League of America, number 7.2. It's all about Killer Frost, and I thought this was going to be a pile of steaming garbage, and it's not. And it's really cool that it's not, because I seriously just thought Killer Frost was a dumb character. Like, I've always thought that. I didn't grow up with her as a villain, and like, even if she was a villain, she's Firestorm's villain. I hate Firestorm. I can't stand the guy. He's so... Anyways, it pretty much like follows the same kind of, like, if you read the Batman issue a couple weeks ago, or I think it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, where it was the Joker origin, and then you just kind of ends into nothing. Well, this was kind of like that. It started off like that. It was her whole origin, how she became who she is, and I guess they haven't explained it since the New 52 started, so it was cool to see that, kind of get a definitive answer on who she is, where she comes from, yada, 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 all that crap you need to get out of the way. This is the perfect opportunity for it, and her backstory is actually pretty... I wouldn't say it's like depressing, it's like the basic Pamela Ivy story, like, oh my god, she loves ice and she gets ice powers, what? Like, it's the classic DC villain origin story, which is great. It's a classic like archetype of a character, which is awesome and cool. But then it ends with the actual forever evil stuff going on. And you see that her connection to Firestorm is more than just, I hate him, I want to kill him. It's like a deep emotional connection, and that's something I've never really seen in a character like that, besides certain characters, whatever. Either way, it's really rare to see this, and the last page with her was actually kind of like depressing, and the fact that it got that out of me was really cool. So I'm giving this 3.5 Nerd Skulls, because it was pretty damn good. You guys should all check this out. It was very entertaining. Very, very entertaining.
Hey guys, I got to read Infinity the Hunt #1, and I'm a little bit confused about this book because I don't understand what it has to do with Infinity, and I don't know if it really is. I feel like it just has Infinity on it to get people to read it, honestly, because all it's about is a tournament of champions of kids from different superhero schools. So we've got like the Jean Grey Academy and the Wakanda, just all those students from all the different places, but all that we get in this issue is just an introduction of the students that will be competing, and it's basically like the Goblet of Fire meets the Hunger Games, but I don't think anybody's getting killed. They didn't really make it clear because all they were focusing on was who's going to be in this, so I don't really think it's worth picking up. I'm only going to give it 1 Nerd Skull.